Hello and welcome to the NerdParadisePod podcast with me, Mark Balagtas, and some of my friends. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
This is your concerned citizen, Harvey.
And your spawn of hell, Matthew.
So, we have started this podcast for one reason only, because we are bored and have nothing else to do. No, we have so many discussions and we just want to put them out there, see what people out the internet think, and about anything in the world, with our lives, with anything. We basically, as the name says, we are nerds, and we like to do everything and anything nerdly.
And besides, it's good to reach out to your community.
Yes.
No bad touch, though. No bad touch.
Oh, certainly not. So, Matt, you like Pokemon, right?
Who doesn't?
Harvey, you like Pokemon too, right?
It's probably consumed a good 30% of my life, so yes.
Well, I love it too as well. Since I was, I think 10. That's when it came out, right?
7.
7? Okay.
7.
Somewhere right there.
96, 97 was when Pokemon Blue and Red came out.
Okay. Well, I love the video game. I love the show. So let's talk about it, won't we?
Well, where to begin? The whole thing is that this is not so much a franchise as it is an army.
No, it's its own living entity at this point.
It's a cult to me.
Yeah,
it has become a cult.
Because when it first came to North America, it pretty much swept through the ranks of children. Had us like that. Yeah. There was
I still remember the first Pokemon episode essentially consisted of a vacuum sucking them up. And I'm thinking, once I started playing the game, where's my vacuum?
Yeah, they hit us from a whole bunch of fronts at once, because you had the show coming on, there were the games, which were their biggest moneymakers at the time, and soon after they came with besides other video games later, they had toys, they had trading cards, which you could play, not just collect. They had ones that you collect with
You gotta admit, they're one of the best franchises right now because of that fact. They market to those kids.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
But Nintendo's never had a problem with marketing. They know who their target audience is.
Yeah. And then you take the idea of kids going around and catching and fighting with magical monsters that look like things you recognize.
Yes.
Later, this becomes a little more unclear. But kids love these things. They're like animals that shoot fire and do all these crazy things.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, let's talk about Ash. The kid that started it all. Wanted to be the very best, they say. Where is he now?
In another region doing the same stuff he's done the whole time.
Yeah. Ash would either be 6 feet underground or in a rehabilitation center.
Yeah. Let's just look at the first episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kid... Oh, my God.
They let him outside.
10 years old, by the way. First of all, 10 years old. You are allowed to be a trainer. Imagine that.
Now, let me just add that, to this day, apparently he's still 10 years old in the show.
Anyways, 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, all I was thinking of, how am I going to get my homework in tomorrow?
Only thing on my mind was, what's for dinner?
Yeah. On the topic of school and 10-year-olds, they send these kids out to deal with these monsters in the wilderness to survive, presumably on their own. And yet, there's a later episode where this device, the Pokedex, tells Ash that a certain Pokemon is a carnivore. And Ash says, "What's a carnivore?"
By the way, I don't know if I still have that same Pokedex toy that they came out with, the same...
They haven't come out with one in a while, actually.
No, it was just the one, I believe. It was just the one.
No, they brought one out up to the Hoenn region. They even brought out a Pokenav.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But this child doesn't know the name of things that will eat and kill him. But they send him out in the wilderness. His mom says, "Well, you're 10. You can get something out of my house."
Yeah. And the first Pokemon he gets is an electric rat with a bad temperament. That the professor itself admits that it isn't good with people.
Mm-hmm.
But again, 10 years old, you want to go out and catch these things, and you have dreams, you know.
The biggest lesson I ever learned from Ash is that Japanese kids must be incredibly hardy.
Well, not just the kids, adults too. Look at Team Rocket.
Oh my god, don't get me started on Team
Here we go
Rocket.
now.
That's probably a topic for another time.
Yeah. Going back to the first episode, I mean, even after he gets the Pikachu, this kid... Oh, God, this kid is stupid. I mean, he's lived in Pallet Town his whole life, and he still needs the Pokédex to at least recognize a Pidgey?
The thing I don't understand is, he lives in this town up until the point when he's 10, but he doesn't know anything about Pokemon.
You'd think...
Except for what he sees on TV.
Yes.
But here's the thing. If you see later on in the episodes, Pokemon start interacting within the towns and the cities. They are not separate places.
Well, they weren't separate in the first episode I remember. The alarm clock for the whole town was a Dodrio.
Yeah, that was their rooster.
Yeah.
But you gotta figure that he should know some of these.
Yeah, you'd think... Oh,
I mean,
Pidgeys, I see them every freaking day. I don't need my Pokédex for this.
Yes.
I mean, okay, think of it as the similarities of real life and the anime. Pidgeys are simply pigeons. You see pigeons everywhere in the city or any sort of urban area.
I'd like to state that it doesn't seem as though Pidgeys are disease-ridden vermin, though.
No, but you never know. They never
poke us.
Exactly. Anyways, Pidgeys are pigeons. You see pigeons every day. My 3-year-old nephew can probably know what a pigeon is. This 10-year-old kid does not know what a Pidgey is?
Yeah.
He needed a talking computer to tell him that.
Yeah. Let me give you a good comparison. There are kids that live in towns that are nearby forests. So you get wildlife that come into the town every here and there. And then kids play with them, interact with them, and they understand this is how you can touch these things. This is how you can treat them. Otherwise they'll attack you or they'll get scared and run away. Presumably, this should happen in a world where these creatures are everywhere.
Not only that, it should happen in a town where the leading authority on these things lives.
Yeah, especially that.
You would think that even at the elementary schools, he would probably go on weekly lectures.
And then this kid gets out there and seems to have the biggest unknowing death wish you've seen in what's supposed to be a harmless anime in a long time.
By the way, you kind of skipped this part. His childhood friend / rival, Gary.
No, that's the thing.
No, Gary needs his own little side.
All right.
Okay? All right. Let's save Gary for a special occasion because you don't mess with him.
I will say that Show Gary and Blue or Green, whichever one he is, I'm not sure, in the manga and their canon is different. Because in the show, Gary has never met Ash before. For some reason.
No. In Johto, that got changed to when they were childhood friends and they split a Pokeball in half and they were supposed to put it back together to whoever beat themselves in a league battle.
Okay, so not only is one a dumbass and one is a total asshole, but they both have amnesia. So that's where the story begins off.
Yes.
Plot. Where is the plot?
Well, at this point, Ash would have just failed catching a Pidgey, which we... let's not go back to the fact that he should know what it was. Pikachu's still not listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the moron throws a rock at a Spearow.
Which you would think he would have encountered at some point.
No. You gotta look at this way also. Remember in the game where Spearow is not that powerful compared to the other Pokemon you can get?
Yes, but if you look at the game, Spearow is still got a higher base attack than a Pidgey does.
Not to mention, Spearow is actually a useful thing when you catch it, because it has a move of its own type. It actually can use flying type moves right away. Pidgey is a chore.
Yes, but Pidgey still gets stabbed from normal type moves.
So does Spearow.
Yes.
But think of it,
but at least Spearow gets type effectiveness.
Are we thinking about this
types.
in the blue and red and blue versions, by the way?
Well, you gotta remember that at least in the first few episodes of the anime, they did try and incorporate game elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, I have to add, the graphics in the game what the Pokemon look like versus the anime and whatever else is being shown in the media for Pokemon, totally different.
Yeah, the Pokemon anime kind of nerfed and like just totally bubble wrapped everything in the game, because the way that the graphics worked in the game for the pictures, for so many things, were either you couldn't understand what it was, or it was terrifying.
For one, let's take a look at Coughing.
Oh,
Coughing has the little skull and crossbones symbol at the bottom in the anime, right? Guess where it is on the original video game? The top.
Yeah, it's up on its forehead.
Yeah. That was just a choice that made no sense, but not too many people noticed it when we were kids, though.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I don't know about you guys, I did. I was like, why does this Coughing look different from the other one?
Besides, the game Coughing looks like it's sick and about to throw up, whereas the anime Coughing is the most optimistic thing you've ever seen on TV in the history of
Until it evolves.
Yes. Then it evolves, it gets old and jaded, and is completely depressed about everything. But that's another time when we cover it.
We're still a while away from that. No, but going back to the kid that threw a rock at a Spearow.
Oh, there's a bell. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties. Please come back again. No, I'm joking. Anyways, go on.
So yeah, he threw a rock at a Spearow, and the Pokedex tells him straight up, you shouldn't have done that. Introduce Spearow Flock.
Mm-hmm. This kid is suddenly running for his life with his punk attitude Pokemon that doesn't like him, which is only at all cooperating because they're both in danger.
Yeah.
It doesn't think
at
to
that
fight
point,
back.
Pikachu's already been injured by the Spearow once.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the chase is on, as one could say.
Mm-hmm.
Chase is on.
And it does not go well.
First of all, Pikachu is just lifeless on the ground while these Spearow are just like annihilating it, like pecking at it, stabbing it.
Yeah, and then you've got him get flung into a river, which, if you're going by the game standards, where was there a river there?
Oh, there totally wasn't.
Yeah, so that kind of confused people.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, we get introduced to someone that's going to be a new main character. She gets all of 3 lines in the first episode, but she becomes a main character. Say hello to Misty, and the running gag of Ash stealing a girl's bike.
Yeah. In order to get away from these Spearow, after this girl has scolded him about his Pikachu, he sees the Spearow coming up and says, "Oh my god," runs and hops on her bike and says, "I'm borrowing this." Because no 10-year-old, even that young, can get away with that. And Missy just gets go, "Oh, you."
Yeah, no comeback, nothing, just he grabs a bike and just rides off.
No rage. It's like he came by and took your last chicken nugget, let's say. No.
Now, let's not even go to the fact of how she was able to track him down so quickly. But I digress. Mm-hmm. Then things get dark in the episode. At Storm Cloud, some more Spearow.
Then Ash tries to be his, what we're going to find out later, is dumbass hero self.
Yes.
And
he has good qualities. Yes, he does have good qualities.
He has good intentions, but no brains to back it up.
Yeah.
And he's going to save Pikachu. Pikachu says, screw that, jumps in front of him. Wait, times it just right so it absorbs a lightning bolt that falls down and rebounds that
Cue
to
in the
whole
music.
flock.
If you guys ever watched the old Transformers movie, you know that part where at the end of it, you got the touch. Oh, you got the. That's what I'm thinking when I'm seeing this scene.
Yeah, and then sky clears. They're both on the ground, looking up in the sky, and then they throw a new Pokemon at you.
No, well, here's the thing. There in this episode, there have been a lot of new Pokemon, yet they're reintroduced later on.
Yeah, no, but in this case, even if we've played the games and everything, we can do tons of stuff in the games, and we would never see this Pokemon in the first games. As kids, we would frustrate ourselves thinking, what was that thing that Ash saw in the first episode?
What they did was they made a total mind screw right there. Because you can look online. You can say, oh, it's this thing, it's this thing. It's none of these things. It doesn't technically
Online when we're
exist yet.
7? The internet was barely functioning back then.
Now,
That is a good point.
here's the thing.
So we didn't even have that
No.
luxury.
I'm thinking in my mind when I think of this, while that bird is up passing by the sunset, I'm thinking in the image right now, the creator Pokemon, ho ho ho, we have something good for these people in the future. These kids are going to be blown away.
I'm going to state for the record that Mark is Asian. He can do this.
Yes. He has full reign. You won't be hearing me and Harvey do any accents like that.
No, you're probably not going to hear my accents anyway, because let's face it, they kind of suck.
Compared to what's going to happen later, so smart. So smart. I swear to God. No.
And I am not going to make the obvious joke there.
It's okay, I'll do it for you. Anyways, continuing on. This leads on to the second episode. Which, I don't know if you guys want to do this now.
We might as well. I mean, they kind of go together. After that, they branch out.
Well, they gotta introduce the
villains.
the antagonist now.
Yes. Enter the villains.
Which, by the way, the boss of it, I've made jokes so many times about the scenes where he's in a Speedo, but we'll get onto that later.
Forever burned into my mind are those scenes.
Technically-
Especially for the fact that they make him into a chibi.
Especially considering most of those scenes are the daydreams of his minions.
Yeah.
Which is possibly more frightening.
Honestly, how many times has he been in a Speedo? You can make a drinking game just watching the one season of it.
Mm.
Anyways, so with this episode, Ash enters the city, finally, which I will clarify to mention, the journey took his father 4 days to complete. When he did in less than a day.
Well, then again,
That says all sorts of things about Daddy Ketchum now, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Although I'm guessing that Daddy Ketchum never actually had to run with so much adrenaline and didn't have a bike.
Don't you feel that?
Yes, but it may explain why he's not in the picture anymore. If he was just slightly less incompetent than his son.
Well, it's that whole he went out for milk story. You know what I'm saying? The whole he went out for milk, never came back.
Apparently, according to Ash's mom, she's still in contact with him because his dad will be so proud to hear about what his son has accomplished. And we never hear of Ash's dad again.
Nope.
Cue in father references, expectations on who it is.
Yeah.
Still to this day is going on.
Not to mention they pulled a total Disney there. He's this headstrong kid who only has one parent.
I'm surprised they haven't killed his mom yet. A la Bambi.
Oh God.
Anyways, going back, so the first thing that happens to Ash is he meets a cop. The same cop he'll meet everywhere.
Mind you, not the same cop in person, just same look, same face.
All
same
I can
everything,
say
same
is
name.
All I'm going to say about that is that the Pokemon world must have perfected cloning.
Either the animators were lazy, or they were playing a joke on us, or a little bit of both.
Yes.
This will become a wet dream to one of the characters later on, but
We won't even mention that anytime soon.
And he's not a water Pokemon trainer.
anyways, continuing on. So the cop thinks that he's part of this crime syndicate,
And she thinks she stole the Pikachu.
Yes. This thing that's beaten up and being cradled in his arms while he's looking desperately.
Mind you.
for
If I was a
hospital.
cop, I'd think that too. Not going to be this
Yes.
abused Pokemon. I'm going to assume that.
Yeah, but after getting to know the kid, all you can think of is, woman, this kid's lucky that he can get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
How much bad luck can one person get is my question.
Well, we're about to find out now, aren't we?
Oh yes we are.
When he gets to the Pokemon Center.
Oh dear. By the way, Officer Jenny, meet Officer Jenny, meet Nurse Joy.
You're going to be seeing a lot of her.
By the way, this was not re-recorded and replayed. He actually said that again. Anyways, continuing on.
Yeah, what happens, Ash gets in there and is reprimanded by someone else about the bad shape his Pokemon's in, and that he's a crappy trainer, day one, but let's face it.
He's 10.
Yeah. And then...
Now, going back to the games, though, with Nurse Joy, there's something that always bothers me with them.
What's that?
When you finish getting your Pokemon healed, they always say the same thing. Hope to see you again soon.
Because she's in every single center.
Okay, no, not that, but just... I can understand if it was a paid service, like in the American system. Yeah. But this is a free service.
She's making no profit off of this.
Yeah, so she's literally telling you, yes, we expect you to fuck your Pokemon up.
Well, then again, you're talking to like 10-year-old kids here.
I don't care. That's still...
When I was young,
that's still a ballsy move. Like, you give back the Pokemon, they're healed, and you literally tell them, we'll see you soon.
That's somewhere between cynicism and realism.
Yeah. Anyways, going back, so after the reprimanding, Pikachu goes into surgery, which
I thought it was just pecked at. Why do you need surgery for something?
So while this is going on, we meet our redhead, Misty, finally giving a name.
Mm-hmm.
She's back again.
Who comes with her completely charred bike.
Yes, charred, broken, completely unusable. Somehow managed to track him down in the course of half a day.
While carrying this thing on her back. Like it's no problem. You can tell already that this girl doesn't take any crap.
So yes, she bitches to him, literally bitches, because there's no other word for her, just plain simple bitch, about a bike that got fried, because the guy was trying to save his own Pokemon. Not his own skin. He didn't care about his own skin. He wanted to save his Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Cut him some slack.
Yeah, if you're not upset when the kid steals it, because, I don't know, maybe one kid only gets one bike throughout their entire childhood, because, what do you know, they're probably pretty expensive.
Well, think back to the games. What's the price of a bike without the damn coupon? $1 million.
It's one more than you can ever
handle. Here's the thing. They mistranslated that. 1 million yen is not as much as $1 million in American, but...
Yeah, but 1 million yen is still equal to $100,000. That's still damn expensive for a bike.
Which somehow is $1 more than any kid can ever hope to afford. Wallet sizes. Get on it.
They've expanded the wallet size since the first games, but anyways. So the bike's broken, but then she gets a full mood change once she realizes the Pikachu's in operation. Bipolar.
She'll be doing that through the whole series.
Oh, we know. We know.
Hates boys, loves most creatures. And I say most because...
We'll find out later.
Yeah, there's a whole different chapter on that.
She hates boys, eh?
So, yes, cue the villains, who, in the first episode, when they're introduced, actually seem badass.
Yeah,
Oh, we are so going to be disappointed.
It was the biggest reverse foreshadowing one has ever seen.
Yeah. Like, they were introduced to them in a balloon, silently creeping by in the sunset. Mm-hmm. They look kind of badass. Like, you think, oh, wow, there could actually be a problem here.
Mm-hmm. And then they throw bombs into the hospital. And then throw their own Pokemon down to go and harass everybody. Yeah. That seems pretty maniacal.
Yeah. They seem like a legitimate threat at this point.
Mm-hmm. Though I don't know if I could take that whole Meowth balloon seriously.
Yes, but it could be their thing. I mean, we're already accepting a world that has rodents that can fire electricity off. I think we can...
A smiling cat is supposed to be fearsome.
Well, considering later on they have Pokemon-themed everything. Like surfboards.
Yeah, okay.
it's not too far of a reach.
Couldn't be a Gyarados or something like no.
They got Gyarados later.
No? Okay. Anyways.
Speaking of, if you watch the first episode, Gyarados is in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that. Sorry.
Yeah, first episode, Ash almost gets eaten. It was pretty cool.
It wasn't important. It's fine.
Anyway, so
Almost lost a life.
Team Rocket attacks the Pokemon Center. And while this is happening, we witness our first real look at Pokemon abuse.
Yeah.
And battling.
I'm not even talking about the battling. I'm talking about the fact that the emergency power for the Pokemon Center is Pikachu's on a treadmill.
The Macarena song starts to come in as soon as they're running around the little ring.
Yeah. Like, that is animal abuse.
Well, it's...
They aren't forced to do it. They're not stuck there.
No, but...
Well...
It's animal labor.
It's animal labor, but it's still kind of mean. The fact that...
No, but you're comparing... Like, think of what a horse goes through, pulling stuff as a beast of burden.
Yes, but a horse doesn't get its own internal power source sucked out while it's also moving.
They didn't look like they were they looked pretty energetic to me. They just kept running around, you know.
That's what a treadmill does.
It's still kind of bad, mind you. They lessen it as things go on. Eventually, I believe there's a winter episode where they have just a regular oil generator in the cabin.
Now, see, you're not gonna see me get a hamster, put it in a hamster wheel, and power my computer. No, it's...
Mark, please don't give me ideas.
Oh my god, can you imagine what would happen if it overheated? Anyway, moving on, in a related note, throughout the series, which as it lessens as time goes by, there is a fair amount of human on Pokemon abuse, especially in Team Rocket, because one will say something stupid, and the other will smack, or kick, or throw them on the ground. Or a combination of the two.
Wait, you forgot this one part when they attack. Misty's fail.
Oh yes, she sends out a Goldeen, a fish, mind you, a goldfish essentially.
It was totally not suited for this job. It was pretty much a fish out of water.
Which is funny considering that we know that she has at least 200 Pokemon. Well, we find out.
Wait.
That she has at least 200 Pokemon.
First of all,
one that's fully evolved.
Wait.
That probably could have easily beaten those two.
You're forgetting. Before we go on, Misty, guess what type of Pokemon trainer she is? Just guess. Name the Pokemon. Just guess.
If you have the foggiest clue.
If you haven't figured it out yet, shame on you. Anyways, go on.
So yeah, that was a fail, but then comes a major win for Ash, where he hooks up his Pikachu, fresh out of an operation, mind you, so barely even healed up.
He takes the charred bike, flips it upside down, and starts pedaling it, which I guess from some mechanism puts one of the lights on the front, and Pikachu stands on it, which I guess somehow
automatically connects it to the electricity.
It injects itself into the current, and then delivers some...
I must say this, electricity does not work like that!
We can't get into physics and logic, though. We can start a whole different show on that.
Yeah. So anyways, and then suddenly, Pikachu uses what could be said as a mini explosive device and blows up the entire Pokemon Center.
By the way, this will become a running thing throughout most of this first season and the second season, probably the third. But things will explode.
That shouldn't explode.
Yeah. Yeah, and nobody dies.
No, and Team Rocket...
No, this is a children's show. You gotta know. Children's show, no one's supposed to die.
Yes, and not only that...
The game, people can die. Pokemon can die. Show, no.
Yeah.
By the way, manga, if you've ever read it, it's one of the darkest parts in Pokemon history ever.
Yeah. Anyway, so Pokemon Center explodes, and for some reason, the only things that are sent flying is Team Rocket.
Who, by the way, are now convinced that this Pikachu, which is something that they scoffed at first because it's weak and they don't care about it, it must be rare because it was able to beat them so badly. So now they're going to spend a whole 4 or more seasons chasing after this.
Their entire lives, essentially.
Because they have nothing better to do.
Cue in yellow version.
So that is our introduction to the world of Pokemon. You get an incompetent brat, a bitchy redhead, And villains that are aimed to disappoint.
And supporting characters that look the same throughout every episode.
And when we were kids, we ate this shit up like it was crack cocaine.
By the way,
I still do.
How have you guys ever, as a child, thought that Pikachu was the strongest Pokemon in the world? Because I've had so many people do that when I was a kid.
People did. I don't understand.
Like, everyone wanted a Pikachu, would go through Viridian Forest for hours trying to catch one.
The only reason I would get a Pikachu is because I love to start with Charmander, who didn't, and I got him
I started off with Squirtle. I'm the water type user.
Well, I got him for Charmander so I could use him against Gary Squirtle.
I always went to capture a Pikachu in the front at the start of the game because while it's no good in the first gym, it's type balance throughout your team right away. It's an electric type, has an electric move right when you get it. That is valuable. There are Pidgeys everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on the Zubats.
That one chance you get a Geodude, though, in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which in the first game takes forever to be useful. But
again, digress.
I think that probably...
But yeah, that's about does it, so...
For our first segment, we'll take a break. We'll let you guys sponge this in, see what you guys think. If you think my voice is annoying, I'm sorry.
Trust me, folks, this is just the tip of the ice beam.
As you notice, we are clapping. And the phone's ringing. Anyways, gotta go. See you guys later.